Okay, so we're back again for another episode of The Truth About Hair. This episode we're tackling hair myths and we have a lot to go through. But before we get started, can you just refresh everyone about your background in the hair loss industry, please, Adam?
So, been in the hair industry and hair care for 20 plus years now and seen over 35,000 plus people in hair and scalp issues. Today, our products obviously are global and I train pharmacists, doctors and aesthetic clinics about hair care and hair health and obviously about our products as well.
Probably something important to mention about our products is that you have worked with, I suppose, like experts in products to actually create the formulas. We've gone through like a lot of testing, a lot of like clinical studies to find the right ingredients. So they're not just like a white label experience. They are sort of developed with your expertise.
Yeah,
is that right?
Correct. So being a hair expert, it made it a little bit easier when we were developing things. You know, I knew exactly what ingredients naturally I wanted to use that had some great results. But it comes down to purity as well. You can put some products in something, white label it and say it's going to work. But guess what? You're going to get caught out pretty quickly. The consumers are very smart. And if the efficacy of the product's not there, then it's not going to work. Then they're not going to keep repeating and rebuying. We put our best foot forward. When we put ingredients together, we can take a year before we bring out another product. We just don't bring out products for the sake of it. We have a purpose with every product we use.
All right. Are you ready to tackle some more hair loss myth busting?
I am.
All right. Let's start with a big one. Is there a cure for baldness?
Well, the easy answer is no. There's no cure for baldness because if there was, no one would have hair loss. And I'd be quite rich, a lot more richer than I am now. So no, you can't cure baldness. You can definitely prevent hair loss. You can treat hair loss. You can regrow hair, but cure would be something that you never get it in the first place, and no one's found that yet.
Can hair be helped to grow faster? So, like, what is the average monthly sort of hair growth speed? But can you speed it up? Because I know everyone's seen those claims online that you can double your hair growth in a month.
Well, it's easy to get those stats, isn't it? So, if your hair's miniaturising and thinning out and then all of a sudden you start using great products and it starts growing faster and it's going back to a healthy hair cycle where every 3 months it's falling out, growing back stronger and healthier, it looks like it's growing a lot faster. So people can bring stats out, but the truth is your hair's going to grow at a cycle that's meant to grow. If you've got thinning or a hair loss issue, then obviously it's going to miniaturise and slow up a lot more. So, that's the easiest way to say it.
So it's not really making your hair grow faster, it's more just correcting it back to its original hair growth speed.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of claims out there by other brands, but yeah, it's interesting.
Can you make your hair grow and grow and grow? So like if you've only ever grown hair to your shoulder, are there products that will help your hair grow down to like your feet?
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen someone's hair go to Rapunzel, but I'm not saying there's not. I'm an expert. I've been around the globe. I train people. I do all the things I've done, and I'm still learning. So there might be that magic product out there that's having these claims and saying that, but I personally, in my experience, hasn't seen that. Like, whatever your hair's meant to do, it will do if it's healthy, So if it's meant to only go to shoulder length, because you've got an anagen stage, so you might be 1 year, your anagen stage might go 3, 4, 5 years. So the longer it is, the longer your hair can be. But if you're not ever had that anagen stage, that longer than 1 to 3 years, and I don't see how it could actually happen.
So just to simplify that, the anagen stage is the growth stage of the follicle, right? So is your growth stage genetically disposition? So like if you have a 1 year anagen phase, that's your genetic phase. Is that how it works?
Yeah, in my experience, that would be the case, yeah.
Okay, right. And so there's no products that you know of that can make your anagen phase go from like, say, 2 years of growth to 7 years of growth?
I haven't seen that.
Does rinsing your hair with cold water make it shinier?
I haven't heard this one.
The theory behind it is the cold water closes like the pores of the hair, I suppose, so that it becomes less porous and it becomes shinier, so it's less drying.
I have to be totally honest. I'll have to sit on the sidelines here. I wouldn't know the answer to that one. That's probably I've been stumped. There you go. I haven't heard that one before. So is that out on social media?
Yeah. So the temperature, the theory is the temperature of your hair can change whether your hair is dry or not. So if you're using really scalding hot water, it can actually dry your hair out.
Yeah, that makes sense. But about the cold water, I haven't heard that, obviously if the hair's going to be shiny and healthier. But, I mean, in winter, if you really want to have a cold shower, I don't know how that goes. So, but yeah, no, I don't know.
What is the connection between scalp health and hair health? Is there a connection?
Yeah, absolutely. So if your scalp's healthy, your hair's going to be healthy. You know, when you've got a poor scalp, your hair itself can be miniaturized from damage. It's suffocating the follicles. Like just one example is cerebral dermatitis. So if you've got dermatitis or cerebral dermatitis, it's obviously, you know, it's your scalp's really unhealthy there and it's inflamed, and it's also going to have a damage. The hair's going to become quite brittle and dry. So definitely having scalp health is important.
Is it true that washing your hair every day causes hair loss?
No. No. And look, when you've got healthy hair, you don't have to wash every day. But as you know, and I've explained before, if you've got genetic hair loss, DHT, it lies in the sebaceous glands, the oil glands. So the worst thing you can do is leave your hair and not wash it because it's passing it into other hair roots on the scalp. Basically, washing your hair daily is important if you've got some hair loss, but using products that work. So you've got to make sure that you're using the right product that you can wash daily and it's not going to have harsh chemicals in it.
Is it true that women don't experience genetic hair loss?
No, women get genetic hair loss as well.
Can you stop postpartum hair loss by taking supplements?
Potentially. I mean, there's a lot of great supplements out there, and, you know, hair, skin and nail and gut health powders are really good. If you're going to get something like postpartum hair loss, it's also treatable. It's once you get it, you know, act on it early, it's going to reverse pretty quickly. You can prevent that definitely coming on if you're healthy and you're taking natural supplements. That's obviously could happen, yeah.
Which natural remedies have validity? So like rice water, rosemary oil, castor oil, hair massage, or scalp massage, I should say.
Well, they're all got different attributes. I think rice water is showing some signs of it has some growth happening in it. Rosemary, I know, is really good for inflamed scalp. How much it's helping with hair loss and regrowing the hair loss, I'm not quite sure of that one. But if you're massaging, you're helping circulation. So, you know, potentially you can notice some new improvement and new regrowth. And the castor oil, again, people do say that when they've used it, that they've noticed improvement. And I always say to everyone, whatever you're using, if it's working, stick with it, right? So, you know, there's not a 101 for every single person. Everyone has different stages of hair loss, different types of hair loss. And so whatever product they're using, if it's working, continue using it. Definitely look for other things you could add in to get better results if you're looking for that. If castor oil is working for you, great.
Okay. Does dyeing your hair cause permanent damage or hair loss?
A good question. Does dyeing the hair? No, dyeing the hair is fine. Like, okay, if you're dyeing your hair blonde, you can be stripping your
bleaching
hair.
it,
Bleaching, yeah. But yeah, when you're colouring hair, it's generally putting a coating on it. Constantly doing it, you can chemically damage your scalp. You can burn your hair and burn the follicle, definitely by doing some of the dyes if they're done incorrectly. I would say if someone's thinning out though, the worst thing you can do is do dyeing of the hair. I know a lot of people say, but that's why we can touch on later while we're bringing out our blonde range, so people that dye their hair blonde, they can keep regrowing their hair. But a lot of things like dyes and trying to grow your hair long on thinning areas is the worst thing you can do when you're trying to treat it. When it's healthy again, you can go back to doing some of those things.
What about wearing tight ponytails or really tight braids? Can that lead to hair loss?
Yeah, I mean, one of the hair loss is traction alopecia. So it's like tight braiding of the hair, tight ponytails, pulling of the hair. If it's done really tightly, absolutely, you can start thinning on areas.
How does that cause, like how does the traction alopecia, how does it actually damage the follicle?
So because it's pulling at the follicle, and so it's constantly pulling, and it's really tightly, and it's reducing the circulation to that follicle. You know, having loose hair is better, or just alternating, not having the same tight braid every day or tight ponytail. If you're starting noticing thinning, you should discontinue doing that style.
Okay. What about hair growth vitamins and supplements? Do they really work?
I think they're a great addition to when you're doing anything, right? I'm a big advocate of hair, skin and nails and gut health. I think that one together works well, bringing nutrients into their body. And some people might be lacking iron and other things in their bodies that can help them with circulation as well and blood flow. What
about this? Does shaving your head make your hair grow back thicker?
That's a bit of a wise tale, that one. So because you've got your follicle, right? So shaving your head, a lot of people say the opposite, like shaving your hair can cause hair loss, and that's not the case as well. So, no.
Has no effect.
No, not that I know of.
What causes grey hair, and can you reverse it?
Wow, if I could do that, I wouldn't be sitting here with grey hair. So you've got genetic disposition to having grey hair, right? So there are dyes out there. There's shampoos out there that have dyes in it that can colour the hair back again. And I've heard some people say you can totally reverse it. I haven't seen that. Like, I think it's something that you do, and it might go to a more of a darker colour, but once you stop it, it will go back to its normal colour.
Right.
So
is having premature grey, is it a sign of unhealthy hair, or is it just a genetic expression?
I've got beautiful hair, Krystal, and
the grey really suits you, actually.
And so I don't think it's a sign of that, but there are some experts out there that say grey hairs because it's the cortex and the coloration area is getting affected. There might be a bit of truth there, but I'm no different to what my dad and his dad and all that sort of thing. So
so it's usually like a genetic expression.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately for my 3 boys who've got a beautiful dark hair right now.
Yeah, they've got their mum's dark hair.
Yeah, exactly.
How long for?
They're lucky, right?
Do frequent haircuts make your hair grow faster?
If you're cutting your hair and your hair's looking obviously it's healthier, it hasn't got split ends and all that, I mean that's great, and it gives it a better look on top. But I don't think it's making it grow faster or anything like that. Do
split ends or damaged ends, does it affect the way your hair grows? Does it affect your hair growth?
Not really. It's the end of your hair, right? So I don't see how that would actually affect the hair. No.
Yeah, because what's happening down the end doesn't. Because
no,
that can be.
It's underneath. Right, 99.
It's what's in the follicle, what's in the scalp.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. What about brushing your hair? There's it's been around forever. Another old wives' tale. Brushing your hair 100 strokes a night is good for your hair. Is it good for your hair? Is it damaging? If you're brushing really aggressively, it probably wouldn't be good for the hair. Okay. When you're brushing or doing anything or massaging, you're helping circulation. So right. I think brushing your hair, I don't know about 100, sounds excessive, but definitely brushing hair it's not going to cause any hair loss. What about brushing wet hair? Does that damage hair? It can pull at it, I guess. If you've got fine hair, it could pull at it a little bit, but I think when we do things, we only do it once if we see it's not conducive for us. So, what's better, letting your hair air dry or using like a heat tool, like a hairdryer? Hair dry. I think if you're heating your hair, it can do some damage. Oh, so letting it air dry is better. Yeah. Right. Okay. What about any other hair myths that you've heard? Is there any that you want to bring up? What's your any that you get asked about regularly? Usually it's whenever someone sat in front of me and, we're having a consultation, it's like, I don't know why I've got hair loss. Like my dad doesn't have a hair loss, It was always, they feel they follow only once, they've heard only follow mother's father has a hair loss, so that's the only way you can get hair loss. Right. It comes from either side of the family tree and can skip generations. So can you have genetic hair loss if generations before you haven't had it? Like, can it just pop up in your genes? Yeah, it can skip generations, absolutely. So there's people that I know that've got hair loss, but their parents and their grandparents had beautiful heads of hair. So whether that's been contributed to different things that have happened to them, diet, poor diet, I think we've touched on it in previous episodes, but there's things that we can do that can contribute to hair loss as well. All right, let's just finish the episode. Just one last question. What is one hair habit you wish people would stop immediately? Procrastinate with if the hair loss is affecting them, then don't procrastinate. If it's an issue, they need to treat it and treat it early because they're going to get better results. If they treat it later, they're not going to get good results. Okay, so ignoring the hair loss is the one habit you should I mean, if it doesn't bother you, there's some great sexy people out there that got bald heads and I do not, right? So, if it affects you and it worries you, then do something about it. Quicker the better. Okay, great. All right, thanks for another awesome episode, Adam. And the next episode, we're going through hair health and hair hygiene and what a good hair care routine looks like. Excellent. All right. Awesome.